this computer. Let's go. Okay, amazing. All right. Here we go. Did everybody get one? We have extra to go around. Okay, here we go. This is a shiur. Again, first of all, it's a first part of a two-part shiur that's going to include B'ezrat Hashem next week. Parashat Behar B'chukotai, and it's going to include B'ezrat Hashem shiur on Lag BaOmer for next week. So what I have prepared for you guys this week, I don't think you've ever heard it formulated this way. I don't think you've ever seen it said this way, and it's going to be amazing. It's going to take us through outshots, B'ezrat Hashem. Here we have for you also the thing. Everybody should please start with the sushi. We can make a bracha for the Nishmat, David, Farid, Ben Sion, HaKohen. Yeah, here you go. Everything you guys need. Perfect. And of course, the shiur is dedicated for that. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to start on page 1. It's right here. You have it covered. Let me also make a sha'akol. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'hakol nihal b'dvaro. So like this. It's the first line. Right in the middle of the line, it says, Amar Bish. This is this week's midrash. The midrash on this week's Parashat Emor. And it says like this. Amar bi Yeshua de Sichnin b'shem Ravi Levi. Yeshua from Sichnin said the name Rabbi Levi. Melamed Sheher'ahu HaKadosh Baruch Hu leMoshe dor v'shofetav. Shem showed Moshe every generation and every generation's kings and judges. And dor mlachav. Okay, sorry, I skipped the judges, kings part. So it was judges and every generation's kings. Dor v'chachamav, each generation and the chachamim of that generation. Dor umanhigav, each generation and the generation's leaders. Dor mishanav, the people that are the mishneh, which is the people that serve. Right, I believe that's what that says. Dor v'shoterav, the people of the generation who were the shoterim, which means the guys that beat everybody up, the law enforcers of every generation. Dor uparnasav, the people who supported each generation. Dor v'chomesav, he showed Moshe Rabbeinu everybody who stole from that generation, as well as dor v'gazlanav, different type of stealing. Dor v'neviav, and the generations Nevi'im. Okay? I don't know why on earth it's in this order. I have no clue. Welcome. No idea why it's in this order. It says, Ve'er'ahu Shaul uvanav. Okay? So this is, of all the things that you would say, what's the weirdest one that Moshe Rabbeinu would have a problem with? This is the one that they point out. Moshe Rabbeinu had a problem with what happened with Shaul. What happened? Ve'er'ahu Shaul uvanav noflim b'cherev. He showed him Shaul and Shaul's sons dying by the sword. Dying in battle. Please be the first one to start, because everybody's waiting for the guy to start. That's what's happening. Yeah, exactly. The sushi's not going to eat itself, guys. So let's get moving, okay? So here you go. Melech Rishon. So here's what happened. So he shows every generation, everybody that runs the generation, everybody that's the good guys and the bad guys, and the Nevi'im, and the kings, and the Shofetim, everybody. Okay? And this is what Moshe Rabbeinu had a problem with. He said, Shaul and his sons dying in battle against the Pilishtim. Said to Hashem, the first king that you have dies in battle? The first king? He says, you're talking to me? That's what he says here. This is the answer. Emor Kohanim. Talk to the Kohanim. What's the Kohanim? Sheharag shehem mekatragim oto. That the Kohanim were killed by Shaul. Novir Kohanim was killed by Shaul. Shaul HaMelech made one big mistake in his life. The biggest mistake that he had was that he wiped out the city called Nov, which was a city of just Kohanim. He wiped them out. Why? It's because David HaMelech was... you have to hear the history of this in order to understand. So David HaMelech was running away from Shaul. It was clear to David HaMelech Shaul wanted to kill him. And David is running and he's on his way. And he stops off with no food. He had nothing. He's running for his life. He stops off in the city of Nov, and there is the Kohen Gadol. And so he tells the Kohen Gadol, Achimelech. He says, Achimelech, I think the thing's on. So he says, Achimelech, give me the sword of Goliath. Thank you. And he says, I have to ask the Urim v'Tumim to help you. So he asked the Urim v'Tumim. So the Doeg Hadomi was there, and Doeg tells Shaul like this: a halacha, you're only allowed to ask the Urim v'Tumim for a king. And it was known that David was from Bet Yehuda, from the Shevet Yehuda, from Peretz, so he could have been the king. Shaul is now the king. So if you're asking for David by the Urim V'Tumim, what does that mean? You think David is the king. So you're a Mered B'Machut. He's allowed to kill the whole city. The whole city is supporting this. Now, why did Achimelech do so? It wasn't because he rebelled against the king. It was because David HaMelech presented himself as being on the side, meaning on a mission from Shaul. He said, ask for me from the Urim V'Tumim, and you have to give me Goliath's sword because I'm on a mission from Shaul. So, but the way that it was told over, the Lashon Hara that was told, it was decided, decreed, that they would all be killed. They were all killed. That was the biggest mistake that Shaul Melech did. So basically, just the back and forth. The back and forth is, Moshe says, how could it be the first king and he dies in a battle? Hashem says, well, it's not me. Look at what he did. He killed the city of the Kohanim. So that's what it says, Emor the Kohanim. Tell the Kohanim. Sharag Shem Katrim Oto. Shneimar Vayomer Hashem el Moshe Emor the Kohanim b'nei Aaron. Okay, fine. Then the rest, I mean, we can try to fly through this next part. This is the main point. But the next part will fly through. Tanur Banan al chamesh chataim ne'erag oto tzadik. There's 5 things that killed him. They killed Shaul. Shneimar. Vayamot Shaul b'ma'alo asher ma'al b'Hashem. He died for the sin that he sinned against Hashem. V'al sharag Nov ir Kohanim, because he killed Nov, the city of Kohanim. V'al shechamal al Agag. V'al shelo shamal li Shmuel. That which he didn't listen to Shmuel. Shmuel says that when he didn't kill Agag, there was 2 parts to it. First, he didn't kill him. Second of all, he should have listened to Shmuel to kill him. Shneimar, Shivat Yamim Tochil Ad Bo Yelecha. Sorry, this is the next part, which is that Shmuel said when you kill Agag, you have to wait 7 days till I get there to start bringing a korban. And Shaul didn't wait. Velo asakach. Ve'al shesha'al be'ov v'ideoni. The last thing that he did the night before he died is he couldn't get any Navi to tell him what was going to happen. The Pelishtim were coming. By the way, thank you so much. The Pelishtim were coming, and he said, I don't know if I'm going to win. So he went to an Ov and Ideoni, which is Avodah Zarah. Last violation of the last week's Parsha. And he asked the Ov and Ideoni, or is it really a Balat Ov? It was not Ideoni, but he asked the Balat Ov, what's going to happen? And she said she called up Shmuel from the dead. That's what they used to do. The Baal Ov would call up a person from the dead, and she calls up Shmuel and she says, "What's going to be?" And Shmuel said, "Tomorrow you're going to go to the battle, and you're going to lose, and you're going to die." That's what happened. Welcome. So he says, "Fine, v'lo darash et Hashem v'imitehu." Hadahu dichtiv. That's what it says. Ki po'al adam yishalem lo orach ish yamtzienu uchtiv v'ish o isha ki lehem ov u'ideni mot yumatu. What does it say in last week's parashat? As was pointed out, a person who does ov and yideoni, the punishment is death. So he got death. This was the thing. So just a quick sikum, very quick, short, just to not miss the point. Moshe Rabbeinu sees that Shaul dies. That's the biggest question that he has. Out of everything that happened throughout Jewish history, the biggest question is, how could Shaul HaMelech die in a war? And so Hashem says back, what do you mean? And he killed Nova Irakoni. And they're mekatrigim. We want to make sure that this is not lost on us, that they specifically were mekatreg. They were specifically prosecuting attorneys against him. Now strap in for what's about to go down. You're not ready for where this is about to go on a little bit of a tailspin in a good way, in a positive way. We're about to go way out of where you think this is going. Okay, here we go. Gemara Berachot. Okay, I apologize for the extremely blurry quality. Maybe we'll share, by the way. This is on page number 2. Page number 1. Page number 1 still. It's the next Maria Makom. 54b. It says like this. Evan, okay, the rule is there's certain places where if you pass by them, you have to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's a bracha given that you have to say that bracha when you pass by these places. One of those places is the stone that Og Melech HaBashan tried to kill Klal Yisrael with. What's the story with this Og Melech HaBashan trying to kill Klal Yisrael with the stone? What happened? Now everybody knows it, but I'm going to go over it again anyway. Here we go. Evan shebikesh Og Melech HaBashan lizrok al Yisrael. Gemara Gmirila. This is where does it say this? We have a source from Moshe Rabbeinu. Meaning Moshe Rabbeinu told his children, their children, and their children till it got to the Gemara. That what happened? Amar. This is what he said. Machane Yisrael Kamahavi. How big is the Jewish camp? How big is the Jewish encampment? So he said Tlata Parsi. It's 3 parsot, which is it's an 18-minute walk. It's basically about a mile plus, a little bit over a mile. So he said 3 parsot. It's like a 3.5 mile camp. So what did he do? Azil, he went Ve'ikar tura bar tlata parsi. He took a 3-mile mountain. Ve'ishti alayhu. And sorry, this is him talking still. I'm going to go take this 3-mile long mountain. I'll drop it on them. Ve'iktelinu, and I'll kill them. Azal, he went. Akar tura bar tlata parsi. Okay, interesting that it gives us what his thought process was. I could have done without the thought process. I don't have an insight into that, but as of right now, it's strange. So it says Azal ve'akar tura bar tlata parsi ve'aiti al reshe ve'aiti. Right, so he did this. He takes this mountain. It's suspended over their heads. A 3-mile mountain covering the whole camp. He's about to drop it on their heads. Ve'aiti kuchabrichu alei. So Hashem came there. Kamtzi v'nikvuha. He started melting it almost. It like started falling apart in his hands. So it started falling on him.
He brought ants, no, to break it up.
Well, we're going to get there. V'nachit b'tzavare. And it started going into his, I think this is the...
Blended on his neck.
Yeah, this is the ants. This is the part of the ants. The ants started going into his neck. So, havaba'i lemishlifa. He wanted to throw it away. So he wanted, maybe I won't drop it on them, but I'll drop it somewhere else. His teeth came all the way down on both sides. He couldn't get rid of it. He was stuck. I don't know why. Well, I guess he couldn't. This is why it says you broke the teeth of the Reshaim. Okay? How does it say that? Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. Remember Shimon ben Lakish. You broke the teeth of the Reshaim. What does that mean? How do you break their teeth? Doesn't mean you broke their teeth. It means you elongated their teeth. Moshe kamahava eser amot. Moshe was 10 amot. Shakil narga bar eser amin. He took a 10 amot staff. Shavar eser amin. He jumped 10 amot. Umachi bekarsule v'katle. He hit him in his ankle and he killed him. Okay, but here's the point that I want to get to. This is about to take us on this journey. What was the problem with this? Okay, sorry, let's take it back a second. So Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish says like this: don't say you broke the teeth of the Reshaim, say you elongated their teeth.
Made it longer.
Right. So what do you mean? What are we doing over here? We're just making up new words because they sound similar. Shinei Shem Shibarta, so it says Sheribavta, which means to like elongate. So don't read it this way, read it that way. So anytime I have the Torah, I can just start writing words in there and be like, oh, they're pretty close to each other. It's not even, by the way, it's not even that close. It's like you're adding a lot of letters, you're flipping a couple around. That's the question we're going to come back to. Like, what is this limud? Secondly, there's usually a problem that brings you to, usually you get like al tikri, this, ella that. Don't read this, read that. Shinei Reshaim Shibarta means you broke the teeth of Reshaim. That makes a lot of sense. Making their teeth longer actually kind of makes less sense. Like, that's a weird, I understand the image of a guy getting punched right in the kisser, yeah? Teeth fall out. I don't understand the guy. How many times have you seen a guy, with the buck teeth all the way down? How many times have you seen it? I don't know, maybe you've seen it in Einstein, in the Montefiore or whatever, but most people don't see that very often. Fine. That's the question. That's the Gemara. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. Oh, some of these are a little bit hard to read. We're going to do our best. Okay. We're going to fly through this next part, okay? Here we go. This is Gemara Arachin 15b, okay? And it's the third thing. It's the third Mare Makom. It's actually a lot cleaner on the computer. I could see it very well, but it's hard to see it over here. And it's like this. Okay, here we go. It's the first part is there's like a little hay in like a little box, and it says the last word on the line is lach. It's 4 lines from the first line. It says ma'iten lacha u'ma yosif lach lashon remiyah. What can the lying or the tricky tongue give to you? Amar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu lashon. Hashem tells the tongue, kol evarav shel adam zikufim. Every person's limbs, every single one is straight up. Ve'ata mutal, and you're lying down. So everything's straight up, you're lying down. Kol evarav shel adam zikufim. I read that again. Kol evarav shel adam mibachutz, ve'ata mibifnim. Everybody's limbs are on the outside, and you're on the inside. Ve'lo od ela sheikafti lecha shtei chomot. This is the tongue. Hashem's talking to the tongue. And he says, not only are you inside, but I gave 2 walls to stop you. The teeth. Well, one second, let's get to this. Achat shel etzem ve'achat shel basar. One is bone, It's not really bone technically, but bone. And one is the teeth. It's not really. It's kind of like bone. It's good enough. It's close enough. Exactly. And one is basar. It's like the lips, the flesh. Fine. Okay, we'll come back to this again. There's something we're going to come back to. But when it comes to Lashon Hara, Hashem tells the tongue, don't speak Lashon Hara because
You're buried inside.
yeah, there's a reason I put you all the way behind everything, all the way in the back, lying down, not straight up. There's a reason. Fine. Here we go. Gemara Makot, Daf 10b. Okay, and here, this is where we're really getting into the exciting times. Okay, it's Amar Bishua ben Levi. It's like the second word on the printout, and it says like this: Amar Bishua ben Levi, my dichtiv omdot hayiraglenu bisharayich Yerushalayim. What does it mean that our feet were standing in the gates of Jerusalem? Mi garam leraglenu she'amdu b'milchama. Who caused our feet to stand in a war? I mean, who caused us to win the wars? Sharei Yerushalayim shayu oskim b'Torah. Klal Yisrael that were learning Torah, we won the wars. Right, so very, very timely. It's not a political statement. I just want to say it's not a political statement. This is very timely, but it's just a fact. How does Klal Yisrael win wars? With Torah. Okay. What is the explanation of this Gemara? We're going to start with this, and we'll work backwards, and you'll see it's all going to come together beautifully. Okay. I don't want to be somebody that's just throwing random Gemaras at you. I could have gone another 5 more, but these are all pointing to one point, which is what? What does it mean that we win wars because we have? Because we learn Torah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says like this: every nation in the world has a malach in Shemayim. And when wars are fought, so they don't win or lose the wars because one nation has better technology, one nation has better ammo, one nation has more stockpiles of this weapon, or drones now is the new thing, or whatever it is, or better manpower, better training. The reason that nations win wars or lose wars is because in Shemayim, they determine that this malach right now is stronger than that malach. That's what they determined in Shemayim.
The malach of that country is stronger than that malach.
Exactly. Let me give you
And also fight between.
Yeah.
they fight between them.
This one is not doing fight, this one.
Exactly. And so to give us a little perspective, just a short perspective, the Abarbanel writes, it didn't make sense to put it in here, but the Abarbanel writes that the malach of Paras, which he holds, by the way, is not Iran. The Abarbanel holds is Turkey. Okay, but some people, there were Rishonim that argue on him, that say that it is Persia or Iran. That the malach of Paras, his job is to pay people back for avirot, and he specifically was writing that the avirot of Bnei Edom, the children of Esav, they'll get paid back by the Persians or the Turkish people, whichever one it was. Fine. The analysis of that was a very poignant in his time. Not important for us, but the point that is that in the time. Oh, sorry.
The Ottomans are the same.
Right, exactly, because they accepted a lot of people that were kicked out of Spain. It's a whole different story for a different time. But what he was saying is that in a time where in Shemayim they decide it's time to pay back Reshaim, that means there's times where Reshaim are allowed to do Avirot, there's times where there's payback. And he said, in a time where it's a payback time, the Persians win. So they look in Shemayim and they said, what is it? Is it a payback time or is it a do Avirot time? If it's a do Avirot time, Edom wins every time. But if it's a payback from your Avirot time, then we pay you back. That's what he was saying.
The Jews are.
No, from the Avirot of that nation. So in a war between Esav and Iran, then the question is it time for payback for Avirot? You did Avirot, but now you weren't supposed to do Avirot until now. You're supposed to do Avirot. Payback time. So now that is not good for Esav. But if it's not payback time, then it's good for Esav. Fine. What is our malach? Who is our malach? People say Michael. No.
Oh, the Jews.
The Jews. Who's our malach? Everybody says Michael. It's not correct. We don't have a malach. There we go. Good. I said this before, but it's worth always every time going over because every time it's applicable to the Dvar Torah. That means we don't have a malach. We don't have. What is the one that determines if we win our wars?
But you're talking about Eretz Israel. If a person is out of Eretz Israel, it's considered like he's worshipping Avodah Zarah because why? He's under a malach of Edom.
You're saying good is not really shaykh to what we're saying now. You're right. You are correct, but we're talking about you're right. But we're talking about the Jews. The Machshava Yehudim. No Lagoim. Nachon. Exactly. The Klal Yisrael. Our nation is under one thing. They don't look at is it time for payback, is it time for this Avirah or that Avirah. They don't look is it time for relaxing or for no, they look at are the Jews learning Torah or not. That's it. That's all they look at. Everything else, they don't care. Okay? But look at this. Here we go. Look at Rashi in Shir HaShirim, It's the last Mareh Makom on page number 1. And he says like this. It's hard to read. I really apologize. It was a lot easier on the, but fine. He says like this. And I even cut off the pasuk. But the pasuk says, "Shina yicheder harechilim shalu min harochza shekulam matimot v'shakulan bahem." Your teeth are like sheep, rows of sheep. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Imagine you're writing a love letter, or you receive a love letter. And it says, "Wow, you're so stunning. Your teeth are like rows of sheep," and be like, "I appreciate the sentiment. You could have, you could throw it out and try again. You know, what are we doing over here?"
Give me better compliment.
Yeah, there's a lot better compliments, exactly. But Shiur Reshaim is full of those, by the way. It says, "Lesusati berichve parodi mitich rayati." You look like the horse of Paro, my beloved. Okay, thanks.
I'd say you're a stallion.
Is that what it's saying? It's okay, fine. Maybe we have to figure out. I hear what you're saying. You're saying like a stallion. But this is a question. Your teeth are like sheep, rows of sheep. Now, what's the imagery here? So look at Rashi. He says like this. So it's all the way at the back of this Rashi because we're going to take forever to go through this. But it's like this. It says v'hadugma. It's like where the wide lines are. It's the third wide line, and it's the third wide line. Again, I apologize that it came out so I didn't. It doesn't. It looks a lot better on the online. If you want, it's on.
Why don't you just use the laptop? Break your head over.
No, I could read it. I'm just saying for the other people that are fine. So like this. V'ne'emra hadugma zu al Shem Giborei Yisrael. This is talking about the Jews, the strong Jews. They said, what do they do? Hakortim ve'ochlim oivehem b'shinehem svivotam. They eat their enemies with their teeth. They bite their enemies. Vareim mitrachakim min hagazel shel Yisrael. They stay away from two things. The first is they don't steal from anybody. Umin ha'arayot. They don't want to be done with any avirot. They don't want any avirot. They don't do gezel and arayot. Those are the two big ones. They stay away. Any women that are not for them, they stay away. Any money that's not theirs, they stay away.
So whatever took down the world in Noah's time.
Yes, exactly. It's interesting that it's like that. I probably have to think about that more. Why those are the two?
Ones. Those are the ones where they do serious procurement.
Those are the nasty ones. Also, those are the most. Those are the most. The ones that speak to people the most. The one that a lot of people say like, "Oh, I have a big Yetzer Hara for money." It's like, yeah, you and nobody else. Everybody has that, you know. It's like you're not special because you have a Yetzer Hara for a nice car and a Lamborghini and that's what you want. So this is the thing that they stay away from. This is nothing, no chance. So therefore, you like rows of sheep. How do we get to the rows of sheep? So we get the teeth. That's why we're the teeth. Where do we get to the rows of sheep? So it's like this. It says v'ne'emar kilus ze al shnem asar elef ish shetzav'u al Midyan. So these are the 12,000 people that fought a war against Midian. That's what this was talking about. That what? Uminayin shelot. Sorry, it says al Midyan b'katzev. Uminayin shelot nechshad echad men al arayot. How do we know none of them were what's the word for chashud? No,
he's not suspected.
Not even suspected. None of them were suspected of having transgressed the problem of arayot. How do we know that? When it happens in war, these are a very serious concern. So it says, Shenemar, lo nifkad v'menu ish. We weren't, not a single one of us was missing.
This is after Bilam.
This is after Bilam. That's exactly the time period.
Yeah.
Exactly. So after Bilam and Balak try their thing, Bilam goes to Midian to get them to have their daughters come get Klal Yisrael to do avirot of Baal Peor, which is Avodah Zarah, and Gilui Arayot together. Klal Yisrael sent 12,000 men, killed all the Midianim, all the men were killed, and they took all the women and children hostage. And not a single one of them sinned. Not a single one. So how do we know? They said, we were always, I guess, one second, was the pasuk, lo nifkad v'menu ish. Not a single one of us was missing. So that means we always knew where everybody was at every time. Buddy system, they always knew. The afal hiru halev heviu kaparatan, but they had to bring a kapara because they thought for a minute. That means for a minute some of them had some hirurim that were not good, so they brought a kapara. They brought which was the afal gazel lo nechshadu. Okay, fine. It doesn't say what it was. I think it was an olah. They brought an olah afterwards because they thought. So it says now, what about how do we know they didn't steal? So it says sheheid aleihem hakatuv. The pasuk says vayichu et kol hashalal vayaviu el Moshe ve'Elazar. They took everything, all of the plunder, and they brought it to Moshe and Aaron. I mean, nobody took it to their own house. There's hundreds of thousands of whatever spoils, and they said no, straight to Moshe Rabbeinu and Elazar HaKohen. V'lo ivriach echad men para achat or chamor achad. Nobody stole even one cow, one donkey. So therefore, it's like rows. Why is it like rows? Because Yeah, because you have
Straight.
exactly. Well, first of all, it's straight, but second of all, also because it's soldiers. They're lining up in rows. So the teeth, which is the way that we attack, we bite against the enemies of Klal Yisrael. It's clean rows of sheep that you can see each one, and you can count each one, and you know exactly what's going on with each one. That symbolizes that they did not do any averot when they went. That's what this is. White like a sheep. Yeah. So this was said in the other Mefarshim about the teeth being white. It's white like a sheep. But look at what the Mabim says. He says something which is this Rashi is bringing us to this. Ready? Here we go. It's the next page, page number 2. It's the first thing, and he says like this. He says Shinai. והנה כמו שהשיניים הם התעבות מותרות הגוף והתגלותו לחוץ. Just like the teeth are how the body extends outwardly. It like becomes thick and it extends outwardly. כן בעניין הנפשי יורה. That's what it shows us in its nefesh, in a person's neshama. אם בנפש הדיברית הנתלית בחומר, not important getting in, I don't know these things, what the different types of the neshama are. I wish I was more informed, I'm not. על התגלות השכל בדרכים מיוחדים כפי מידתו ופעולותיו, והם על ידי משפטים והקשים שמבואר בחוכמת ביקור השכל באורך. Fine. This is all this stuff about the different types of the neshama, different parts of the neshama. I don't really know, so I'm not going to try to speak on it too much. I don't know what it's talking about. So it says, כי החוקים המוטבעים בעצמות השכל הם תת וו. There's 15 laws in sechel, in intelligent, embedded. Shehem yudbet bidrachav b'mishpatim. Okay, I don't know again where he's talking about here. 12. There's 12 types. I don't know. So it's sorry, tet zayin supposed to be tet zayin. So it's 16. 12 of them are the mishpatim, and 4 of them are the connections. But listen to this. There's 16 paths that come out of this. We explain this in a different time. There's 32. The wisdom's from the teeth. That's what he's saying.
That's 32 teeth.
The sechel of the neshama is in the teeth. Apparently. There's 16 paths. 16 of them are in the upper jaw, that's what he's going to get to, and 16 of them are in the lower jaw. So it says, Mechuvanim neged hashinaim shtzomchim tet zayin balechi alyon, tet zayin balechi atachton. Right? 16 in the top, 16 in the bottom. Echad gavoa mechavero, 2 of them are higher than one's higher than the other. So, fine. Let me walk you through now something not in the sheets, but unbelievable, out of nowhere, Maryam Makom. This is one of those where this is you're gonna have to give me a second to find it though. But basically, what he was saying, what the Mabim was saying, is what the Mabim was saying is the teeth. There's 32 teeth. Each one of them are the 32 paths of wisdom that the neshama has somehow. Apparently, this is. Hopefully, we're starting the derech.
By the way, even in English, we call them the wisdom teeth.
Oh, interesting.
It comes from this.
That's very interesting. Wow, there you go. That's the wisdom teeth. Wow. So
And they've been removed.
they're removed.
What happens?
Not wise. My brother did that also.
Why would it be called wisdom teeth?
Interesting.
So now look at this. The Sefer HaKadoshim writes. Okay, who is the Sefer HaKadoshim? Kufchet. This is the kind of thing that's embarrassing that I don't know. It doesn't say it over here. It is fine, but he says like this: Jews have how many teeth? 32. A Jewish person has 32 teeth. I have 31 teeth. I counted after I saw this. I still have one growing in.
I have 28.
Okay, fine. But he says
My wisdom teeth are inside.
so they didn't come out. So you have, but they just didn't come out. A Jew has 32 teeth. The non-Jews have 33 teeth. That's what he says.
Wow, I never heard that.
Yeah, interesting, no? Some people say that they have no. No, they have 31 teeth. Vakum shatid litkayer, and a person who's going to become a ger, he says nolad mitchila b32 shinaim kisrael. A goy that's going to become a ger is born with 32 teeth.
You should check the teeth before
They
you
already
read
know
it.
be a ger.
Exactly. Somebody comes up to you and says, "I'm gonna, I'd like to be a ger." It's like, all right, bring in the dentist.
It's like Hasidim say, Rambam says, ger shemit gayer, because they want to say that a
Interesting.
ger is
Ger
not a
beforehand.
goy. He's his own real.
Interesting.
Because Rambam, every word is weight. So he says a ger that will do gerus.
Wow.
Yes.
So now you'll notice what is the one limb that a person has or part of a person's body that's the gematria 32,
Lev.
it's a lev. Exactly, the lev, the heart. Now, there's clearly a connection between teeth and the heart. What?
They say medically, if somebody is having sharp pains in his teeth, right?
Okay.
She's got to run to the hospital to check his heart.
Yeah.
There's some kind of a connection.
Yes, there's a connection between gum disease and heart disease. You're right.
Endocarditis.
Epicarditis.
Endocarditis.
Endocarditis.
This is medical field, guys.
This is the halvai. I'm still fine. We'll get there one day. But the point is, I have to still take gender class studies to get, we'll get there at some point. I know, exactly. I am pre-med. But look at this. Here we go. This is the good stuff. You ready? Look at this. I know, Nebuch, indeed. B'nai Yissaschar and the Haggadah.
AI takes his job over my family graduates.
I'm not so worried about these things. AI doesn't have any teeth. Okay, good. Ready? Here we go. Where do we know about teeth? Does anybody know where do we talk about a Rasha and some teeth? The Haggadah. What did the Haggadah say? The Haggadah didn't print it out. What it says?
When you told them the teeth get long, I'm like, wait, Haggadah.
So it says in the Haggadah, Rasha mahu omer ma avodah hazot lachem afata. No, one second. Alaz lachem elolo fi shotzei tatzmo min haklal kafar beikar afata hakhe shinav. Punch his teeth. Why are you punching his teeth? That's such a violent response. Punch his wisdom. But look at this. This is what the B'nai Yissaschar says. Okay.
Yeah, it's true.
Here we go. It says part of the
There's gematrias, right? I think learn a lot. There's gematrias. When you take out, when you punch it, those things come out and then something forms.
Okay, here we go. Ready? Look at this. Half of it gets cut off. You'll have to accept this. Look what it says. V'achen titponen. Shinei Reshaim shibarta. You broke the teeth of the Rasha. Uchtiv. Baruch Hashem shalom natanu teref l'shinehem. Thank you, Hashem, for not letting us be torn apart by their teeth. Teeth? I'm obsessed with teeth all of a sudden. He says, Hine tireh shapsukim megazmim berov al shinei reshaim daika. Whenever it talks about a Rasha, it talks about their teeth. V'lama shinaim davka. The daika is like dafka in Aramaic. Why specifically the teeth? Aval titbonen ot hashin hu atva dikshot. I don't want anybody to get lost in what we're about to say. Okay, if you get lost, just wait. We'll get back to it.
The letter of shin is what?
The letter of the shin is the letter of truth. It's the truth that what? Uchmo shemivur bezor.
It's the first letter in sheker.
Be'otiyot sheker. Hashin atva dikshot. V'hu achayut shel sheker. Okay, I gotta give you guys the background. This is the background information over here.
City to live, it has to have a truth in it.
There you go. And anything in this world that is kayam has an nitzotz of kedusha. That means anything that exists has kedusha in it. Otherwise, it would get destroyed immediately. The best nashal is a goof. The moment the neshama leaves, the goof goes right back into the ground. It's only holy as long as there's a drop of holiness. The moment it's not live anymore. So what's the matter with the shin? Let's get to this. But hold your horses. But the shin is the letter of truth. It's the first letter of shin. And if you take out the letter shin from sheker, it becomes kar, which becomes, it's also cold. But it really, I think here it means like happenstance. Like it just happens to be.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And then it just kind of, it goes away. What?
Oh,
Like a malik. Yeah, karchava there. Very interesting that there's that keeps coming back in. But listen to this. He says, nitzot hamachiyeh, right? That it's the nitzot hamachiyeh that gives life.
Sort of the shekel.
Exactly. That's what gives it life. Ken hu beotiot rasha. That's the letter. What do you have for the evil guy? What's in the middle? You have the resh on the side, the ayin in
which
the
is ra, evil,
and the shin is in the middle. So what happens when you take out the shin? Hinehu ra. Then he's just evil. He's just bad. So now, bad things don't in their own sense exist. They're only taking the koach of the good. So what happens?
well possible.
Okay, very good. We're getting to now
That's a nice.
we're getting to a third level of...
twist on it.
No, one second. That's a third level of meta that we haven't gotten to yet. But we're going to get there. It says, Al koachach yesh betocho eze nitzot kadosh shemechayehu, hinehu ot hashin, v'chol hachayot v'hakoach shelo hu me'ot hashin. Everything that... Why is this Rasha around? Yeah, this Rasha is just you're at the seder, you're saying, v'dimayinu, with all the kavanah, and you're in the different olamot, and the Rasha comes along and is like, what are you nutcases doing already? Ultra-Orthodox nutcases. So why is he around? Just to drive you nuts? No, he has an ought of kedusha within him. So what is it that you do to get rid of him? You take away that shin. You're saying no, Babu Hashem, leave it to the Mitzrayim. So he says, "V'kol hachayut v'koch shefein v'kevan shemotziin mimenu hanitzotzim hakdoshim nish'ar ra." Then he's just bad. ואינו מציאות והולך לחרפות. So he goes and he disappears. וזהו יגמרנה רע רשעים. The bad end is for the Reshaim. That's the simple explanation. But he says, no. The end of the Reshaim is when they become Ra. Because then the Shin goes away, they're just Ra, they're just bad. They go away. That's the idea. He says, V'zeu gamken oy l'rasha Ra. Woe to an evil Rasha. So you don't have to tell me, Rasha, I know he's evil. No. Oy to the Rasha is that he becomes Ra. Because now the Shin went away, now he's gone. Oy l'rasha kishenasa rak Ra. Azai az bevadai v'gemul yadav yaselo. Fine. Okay, ready? We're going to take everything and we're going to put it right here. Why are Reshaim still alive? Why don't Reshaim, what we know in the Gemara, this is actually how we started. You remember from the original Shiurim, from those who were there, that we started with saying, how come the Gemara says that Reshaim die on Rosh Hashanah? So how come Reshaim make it year after year? So the idea is because they have a chance to do Teshuvah. And Teshuvah means HaKadosh Baruch Hu created a person for a purpose. And whatever that purpose is, as long as they still have a chance to commit that, to get to that purpose, they're alive. The moment that they've gone too far and they can't reach that purpose, they're done. The destruction comes immediately. So what keeps the Rasha alive? The fact that they might do Teshuvah. So therefore, when you bring the Rasha, you're mekarev the Rasha, then you're giving him chiyut. So what do you tell back to the Rasha? On Pesach, you tell him, Afatak, hey, chinav. You punch him in his mouth. Emor lo, and you say to him, so 1 second, why violence and then talking? No, the hakei chinav is what you tell him. How do you knock his teeth out? You tell him, Emor lo bavur zeh Hashem li b'tzatim Mitzrayim. This is why Hashem took me out of Mitzrayim. Vilu hayasham lo hayanegal. You say, and this Rasha wouldn't have made it out.
Tough love.
And what? It's not tough love. It's the opposite. You're taking away the kedusha from him now. You're telling this Rasha, if you want to stay being a Rasha, then you're finished. You're going to be done. You stay in Mitzrayim. You don't leave Mitzrayim. You never have chiyut. Now, if you heard the Shiur on Mitzrayim, on Pesach, on Haggadah, you remember that Mitzrayim is the Yetzer Hara, right? And so if a person says, I want to stay in the Yetzer Hara, so you get destroyed, become Ra, just go and be destroyed. But if a person wants to leave from that and have chiyut and be alive, he has to leave the Yetzer Hara, he has to leave Mitzrayim. So you tell the Rasha, no problem, it's a good point. Hakei shinav, take out that sheen and say, go back to being a Rasha, go back to being Mitzrayim. Therefore, he goes away immediately. Bavur zeh Hashem li b'tzatim Mitzrayim means you're saying to the Rasha, you're stuck in Mitzrayim. Then the sheen goes away immediately. So how does that happen? How does that happen? You knock his teeth out. But there's another thing that has to happen, which is not in this case. In this case, you're right that you knock his teeth out, but in a different case, the teeth have to become long. Why? Because Hashem gives the Rasha the chiyut so that he could do teshuvah. But when the teeth get too long, they run out. What happens? Then the sheen breaks. Then they're done. Then the Rasha's finished. So when the Gemara says, don't read shibarta, read sheribavta, which means don't read you broke their teeth, read you elongated their teeth. Why? Why'd you make the pasuk weirder? It made more sense a second ago. No, it didn't make sense. Why would you?
Before breaking.
Oh, there you go. How do you break Rasha's teeth? You get them long, which means his time runs out. Hashem looks at him and says, when's he going to do teshuvah? When's he going to do teshuvah? When's he going to do teshuvah? They didn't do teshuvah. Hashem says, I got to break the teeth. Didn't do teshuvah. Exactly.
So also from Parashat Shabbat, Kadosh Ani. Or wherever it's Kadosh instead of Shem. Even a Rasha, he Nikra Kadosh.
Exactly.
Because Kadosh Baruch Hu created. So he wait for them until he come out with Teshuvah.
That's exactly the idea. And so then once Hashem sees that he has no chance of doing Teshuvah, then that's it. Then the Shinaim get too long, and now he's finished. So it's crazy that I didn't print this, the Zera Shimshon, but I'll tell it to you outside. I mean, it was supposed to be printed. It didn't make it, I guess, or I forgot to put it in. The Zera Shimshon says like this. What was the conversation that we started with? Moshe Rabbeinu sees Shaul, and Shaul dies in a battle with the Pilishtim. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, how is that possible? And Hashem says, you're mad at me? Talk to the Kohanim. They're the ones that told me to kill him.
It all started over food.
It all started with food.
They didn't have
any food. He gave him food. Right. But what else did it start over? It started off with Lashon Hara. Okay? So look at this for a second. Okay? Here we go. And then we're going to finish everything. It's still on the second page. It's the Ben Yehoyada. And he says, It's on Arachin, the Gemara Arachin. Anybody who speaks Lashon Hara, he gets physical punishments, physically punished in his suffering in his goof. So here negaim also does mean tzarat. It's clearly talking about tzarat, but that wouldn't be a chidush to say. So you have to also add in that it literally means he gets punished with his goof. That means there's certain avirot the guy does. Hashem says, okay, fine, listen, you're supposed to make $10,000. Okay, we make it 9,000. But Lashon Hara guy says Lashon Hara, trying to hear from these things. Yeah, it's like, okay, he's got to get a flu this week. That's how it's going to have to be. It's the only way to fix it. So why? He says, Nirali b'siyat d'shmaya. Hamseper Lashon Hara gorem shiu noshrim kochot ha'ahava min levavot shel b'nei ha'adam shelo yu ohavim ze et ze. When a person speaks Lashon Hara, he causes people to fight. So they don't love each other in their hearts. So what happens? V'nimtza hepech otiyot lashon. He's flipped around the word lashon. Noshel. To now it becomes noshel. What does noshel mean? It means to fall out. So shehu lashon neshira kmo yishal zedecha. Your grapes, not grapes, your olives will fall out. V'chenami tor yakar sheyesh lashon kedichtiv b'mishlei. Uchle yakar siftei da'at me'apech otiyot yakar le'otiyot keri. And you switch the word yakar back to keri. It's the same lashon as sheker. Is without the sheen. Now you're back to keri, like maybe cred, happenstance. Kem saper lashon hara nitzma bekeri, becomes tameh keri. Okay, whatever that means. Uvazeh piresh ateret rabenu harav mor. By the way, if you didn't understand this Dvar Torah, then this Ben Yoyada hits you out of nowhere. If a person says lashon hara and becomes tameh bekeri, what are you talking about? Where did that come from? What does that mean? But now you understand that the word sheker, the chiyut of it is the sheen, and you take out that sheen, or you're adding to the sheen, but you're really adding to the kufresh, which is the word keri, which is the word happenstance. So by saying lashon hara, you're giving power to the powers of keri. That's this. Okay, but that's not the main point of our Torah. But it's beautiful in this Ben Yoyada that he's not at all talking about what we're talking about, but he's saying what we're talking about. You would not have any idea what he's saying if you didn't hear this shiur. But fine. So he says v'tisa, right? Uvazeh piresh ter Rav Mori Avi. Remember the katuv v'tisa beriti aleficha. This Hashem tells a Rasha, says, why are you talking about me? Says, why v'tisa beriti aleficha? Why you have my brit on your mouth? Ki nasata kedushat brit v'salakta me'aleha ba'avur picha. Shedibarta b'lashon hara. You're taking away the kedusha of the brit from lashon hara. Ve'alken me'achar she'mapech otiyot lashon, otiyot noshel, mapech otiyot ekar, otiyot keri, az midah keneged midah titapchu lo otiyot oneg. Oneg is what it becomes kenegia lo min lashon otiyot nega. Now instead of oneg, where a person has enjoyment, now it's nega, pain, suffering. Shemeya lashon lashonot ha'ur yem mekabel mimenu hashpa'a min kel havaya im hanekudot shehem mispar oneg. The letters Havaya with the Nekudot is the letters of Oneg. Whatever that means. I don't know what's happening there. It says, Gam Oneg hu notarikon eden nahar gan. Besod hakatuv v'nahar yotzeh me'eden ashkot gan. So clearly, I don't know what's happening at the end of the Ben Ish Chai, but I do know is like this. Where is the Ben Ish Chai coming from? Then now he's almost like a cute little, he says, Lashon hara, you take the word Lashon, you switch it back to Noshel. It's like a cute like flip. And he says the word Oneg and you flip it to Nega. It's like, oh, it's cute. It's not cute. This is what's happening. You have the lashon is the sword of kedusha. That's what gives a person kedusha.
What?
No, the lashon itself is a source of kedusha.
If you bless,
exactly. That means that's where the kedusha is. So it's really important that we speak this out.
School Persian.
Yeah.
Because you're in a Persian family.
Yes.
Every sentence is like a blessing.
Every sentence is a blessing. Yeah. It's my in-laws are like that. Every sentence, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, Ken, Baruch Hashem, everything ends with...
Nothing is like, can you just tell me what Central Avenue is?
Exactly. It's always inshallah, exactly. Mashallah, fine. But what are we saying over here? So we're saying it's like this. This is really important to speak this point out, is that Tum'ah doesn't exist on its own right. It only can exist if the Kedusha is given to it. Okay? So the Lashon is the place of the most Kedusha. So when a person flips that around, now the Tum'ah enters. So now he's giving the sheen, which was supposed to... Now what do we say at the beginning? Hashem said, I told the Lashon, stop, because you have the teeth to stop you. But what happens if the teeth don't stop? They don't do their job. So then and the lips also, but the teeth was one of the things in the Gemara. That what happens if the teeth don't do their job? Now he's back into the Rasha. Exactly. Now he's back to the Noshel. He's destroying his own koach. What we said, which was the idea that the chiyut comes from the lashon. So now he flips it around. Now there's no chiyut there. Now there's no life. He's destroyed the source of life.
Wow.
That's what we started with. That's where the teeth come from. That the teeth is meant to stop and be part of that process. And if it can't stop and not be part of that process, now it's Shinei Reshaim Shibarta. It becomes the Shin of the Rasha. And so it comes out that this is the connection. By the way, I'll take you through a couple just more connections very quickly. What did Esav do? Everybody knows this midrash. I don't even have to tell it to you. What did Esav do when he sees Yaakov Avinu and they he bit his neck? And what happened? His neck became rock hard and his teeth broke. So what is it? What is this midrash? What is it talking about? No, it's not. It's not a comic book over here. What's happening is
Yaakov took his kedusha.
Yaakov took the kedusha, but how? Because the neck is the chibur. We talked about this a bunch of times, but the neck is makom. It's actually this is the next week's topic. Next week's topic is the neck.
No.
He exactly. And Esav's whole problem was the kedusha always stayed up here. This is the last week's Sifat Emet. We mentioned this, but now you have a deeper understanding of it.
From the stomach.
And
Because
so
Yaakov was Ekev, he became Yaakov. He took the yud away from Esau.
there you go. I didn't think about the ekev and the yud. It's a good point. Okay, if we stay on the topic, because I'm going to get lost in my own thoughts. What were we saying a second ago? Yeah. So what did Esav do? Esav lived his whole life knowing all the inanim of Torah, but he never lived it. So his chibur, the connection with the neck, never became strong, never became solid, never became changed by the...
Neither physically, he gets decapitated.
Exactly, so he got decapitated because you were able to just cut off the head, cut off the chibur, cut off the kedusha, throw it into the Merat Machpelah, and take Esav and toss him on the side of the road. That's what ended up happening. And so when Esav tries to bite Yaakov, his teeth, which is you're only around, buddy. You're only around because you might do teshuvah. Now you're trying to bite the connection between Yaakov, the chibur of the neshama and the guf. That's not going to work. Boom, his teeth fell out. That's what's happening here. That's what's happening in this midrash. What else is happening in the midrash? That's what it says. Vayahav Yitzchak et Esav kitzayid befiv. He trapped him with his mouth. Because he got his teeth. What did Yitzchak see? So the Sfat Emet says in last week's Parashat, and Jonathan heard me say it on Shabbat, that Esav, all the Kedusha was always in his head. He used to ask him halachot and ask him, and Yitzchak was just waiting for him to do teshuvah. He was waiting for his teeth to grow. He was waiting for his teeth not to grow, I guess. He was waiting for him to do teshuvah. It's the exact same process that we've described. That's why Yitzchak loved Esav, because he said, I could fix Esav, make him do teshuvah.
He said that the ants were falling on his neck.
On his neck. Oh, good. And did I say to keep that in mind with I didn't mention it. It was in my head. I was like, say to keep it in mind. When Og starts, what does he do? The ants get him on his neck.
I want to tell you something nice. You said, I like what you said about Russia. I never heard this about the shin being side of Kedusha, and you take it away, you only have Ra. Even that's part of Hashem's plan. The Minchat Yehuda says that at Har Sinai, which is coming soon, what happened was we made Tikkun HaOlam.
Okay.
And all the sparks of Kedusha basically gathered at the mountaintop. You understand? And what happened was all the evil in the world became inanimate. Everything was just on the ground.
Wow.
With lifeless, because the battery, the Nitzot's Kedusha, was removed from it.
Wow.
And it's that only when they miscalculated the timing of Moshe Rabbeinu,
there you go.
Right? Then they make the whole ego and the fiasco, and it burst, and all of a sudden the real tragedy was that all those sparks of Kedusha went back into the Ra, and gave it a new battery life. And so everything became, respawned. Everything became on all of a sudden.
There you go.
So in his perfect world scenario, what Hashem wanted was that there should be Ra in the world, but that it should be lifeless.
Exactly.
That the tzaddikim should be able to walk and trample over the Reshaim, that it should be like just dead on the ground. For whatever reason, he wants it there. We have palm trees, we have this, we have that. He wanted the Ra to just be on the ground lifeless.
Right.
So that's
wow, chazak. And in fact, that is how it is. Meaning, it is lifeless. It needs us to have its own life, which is why coming back and putting it back in. What you're saying now is that why is lashon hara such a big issue? That Hashem says. So okay.
Feed the Ra every time you do something lashon hara.
There you go. That's the biggest one. Exactly the biggest Avera, so the Gemara says in Yoma, didn't print this one out because it was, again, it could have printed out every Gemara on that. But the Gemara in Yoma, Taf Tet Amud Bet says that there's 3 Averot Chamurot that destroyed the first Bet HaMikdash. And the worse than all 3 of them combined is Lashon Hara. So you say, no, it's not. I know that it's not, because if I have a choice between death or saying Lashon Hara, I say Lashon Hara every time. But if I have a choice between death or even just one of the 3, I have to choose death. Not me, but the person would have to. So it's not true. The Gemara makes a statement that is verifiably false. So the idea is no, because the nitzotz of kedusha that you create with the lashon is way stronger than the nitzotz of kedusha you create with that you give to the sitra achara by doing any other avira. Even all 3 of the worst ones combined, they're worse avirot for you, but for the world, what's worse? Lashon hara is way worse.
By the way, Chazal, when they say things, they keep things in a clean language.
Yes.
We know that the pen malchut, and then you have the yisod, it's connected.
Right.
The tongue, it's actually one long thing. It's so when they're talking mila, it's the
There you
so
go.
when they're talking mouth, Chazal is also talking over there by the yisod.
And this was the connection, maybe that gives us a deeper understanding of the Ben Yoyada. So like this, let's close out with this. This is what the Zerah Shimshon says. What is happening with what we started with Shaul and Moshe Rabbeinu says, how could it be Shaul died in a sword? And he says, what do you mean? It's not me, it's the Kohanim. So, and they're Mekatrigim. That's the point. So what's the big deal? So the big deal is that why did like this? Why did Shaul have a right to be the king? If not, he's not from the Yehuda, he's not from Shevet Yehuda, he's from the wrong Shevet, he's from Binyamin.
Borrowed time.
Well, what?
Shaul also borrowed.
Okay, so you're saying good, but I'll tell you what the Zerah Shimshon says. He says that Shaul was from Binyamin. All 11 Shevatim had one mistake. They all bowed down to Esav. So by bowing down to Esav, they gave him a little Kedusha, a little spark. Binyamin was not born yet, so he never bowed down to Esav. So he has a right to be the first king from Binyamin. First king is from Binyamin. Even though really he should be from Yehuda, but he didn't give any power to Esav, so therefore he should be from Binyamin. So says Moshe Rabbeinu, he says the first king that you have dies in the sword. So what do you mean? What's the big deal if he's the first king or the second or the third king? He says, no, because if he's the first king, that means he never gave the power to Esav. So how does Esav, whose power is the sword, have a power over Shaul? That's the question. If the whole thing is that Shaul is only a king because he never gave a power to Esav, so then how come he's dying by Esav's hands, Esav's sword?
By not killing Aga.
So, okay, so that's the second half of that midrash, but I'll just tell you the first half. Okay, so there's deep connections that you guys are making right now, and you're right. I'll just tell you what the Zerah Shimshon says, and you're right. And again, these are topics that are so exciting. We could talk about it all week. But I'll tell you what the Zerah Shimshon says. He says because if he didn't say Lashon Hara and he didn't kill the Kohanim, so then they wouldn't be able to be mekatreg against him. What's the big deal with the mekatregim? So he says now in Shemaim they're mekabel Lashon Hara because he was mekabel Lashon Hara about the Kohanim. Now I'm mekabel the kitrug against him. Why? Because he is giving back koach to Esav. What did you say was the whole thing a second ago? You said it's not his fault. How could he possibly die? He doesn't give any koach to Esav. He did. He was mekabel Lashon Hara against the Kohanim and he killed them. So therefore they're mekatreg. They speak against him. Now we could say what Rav Saban said, but Ronan, you shared it. That a person in Shamayim, what's the worst thing that a person can speak? All the punishment the person gets in their life comes from Lashon Hara. The worst thing a person can do for punishment is Lashon Hara. Why? Because he was saying like this. A person, imagine a guy, not so perfect. Break Shabbat a little bit here and there, yeah? So, we shouldn't hear from these things. Satan goes to Shamayim and he says to Hashem, look, this guy is, here's a long list of avirot for this guy. Hashem says, I'm not interested. I'm not mekabel any Lashon Hara. Don't tell me Lashon Hara about this guy. Sadiq, I'm not listening. Comes the Yetzirah and he says, no. I know you're telling me he didn't do any avirot. This guy speaks Lashon Hara. You're not mekabel Lashon Hara about him. He speaks Lashon Hara. He's mekabel Lashon Hara himself. He's the whole problem. He's the whole issue. You're saying I'm not mekabel Lashon Hara about this guy. He speaks Lashon Hara all the time. So therefore, all the kitrug starts against him. So Hashem is telling to Moshe, I know you're saying how is it possible that Shaul could get killed in a war, but you want to know how Shaul could get killed in a war? He speaks Lashon Hara. He's mekabel Lashon Hara. And so therefore he gave power to the kitrug. Therefore I have to listen. That was it.
I mentioned earlier the Giborei Yisrael,
Yes.
that they don't do Gezel
And the
and
Arayot.
don't do Arayot. So over there it says by Parashat Noach, he says, what's the deal with Gezel? He says, was it the Ramak says when the person does an Avery, he creates a Malach,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And then so that Malach has to be sustained by the person, not by Hashem. But anyways, these Malachim, by all the different Averas, they actually don't have the chutzpah to tell Hashem who they are, how they were created, why they were created, when. They
Okay.
don't have that azut panim in them, even though they come from a dark place.
Right.
But the one that's created from Gezel, because this is pure chutzpah, to take something that's not yours from someone else. So he has this energy in him. And what happens is when he opens that door, all the other Averas that were waiting in line come pouring through the door.
Beautiful. So there you go. Now you understand what the whole connection. So everything we said here. So Baruch Hashem, we're zochet to have a very chashuv group over here, a very big group. Thank you guys for showing up. This was a pleasure to do this. It should be a zechut for the neshama of David, Farid, Ben Sion HaKohen. And should be zochet to Mashiach b'meher b'meinu. Will take away the shin, will destroy the teeth of the Reshaim. It'll be done. They'll be finished. And Bezrat Hashem, we should be zochet b'meher b'meinu.
It'll be fixed. Veshinatan levanech.
Yes.
Veshinatan.
There you go. That's the